Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents The House of Rugby, Season 3.
Hello. This is a big moment. Sean O'Brien and myself, always sprightly, wide awake. But Alex Good is no longer having to get up at 4 a.m. Japan time because he is back in the UK, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Welcome back, Alex.
Hi guys, yeah, it's a nice change not to get up in the middle of the night and just do the show at a reasonable hour, 6 p.m. It's lovely.
Welcome home, Goodie.
Your dedication to the house has been impressive, though. I mean, you always turned up.
Yeah, I did, even if the internet was a bit dodgy at times, nearly as dodgy as the sunburn on Seánie today. But you know, it's luckily the viewers don't all watch it in on YouTube, so it's for their benefit.
I got an awful burning today, to be fair. But it'll turn to tan in the next day or two, I'd say. I'm better coloured than you two anyway, by the looks of you.
I look
Come on,
pasty.
mate. What are you on about? It's just a lighting for me. I'm brown.
No, I'm just very pasty. One thing that does concern me slightly, Alex, is that our stories of London and Saracens going to be as good as Tokyo and Yoshi and the Green Jets?
No chance, no. I think the days of the mad stories, the different culture, people doing what they want, losing every game by 50 points, the refereeing being carnage, all that, it just won't be the same. And there's no vibe bars, obviously, in London either.
Well, not yet, unless you set one up.
It could be weird.
What's it like to be back with the boys?
It's nice, I've got to say. I was probably wary of walking in first day at school a bit, having been away for 6-7 months, expecting a mountain of abuse. And everyone was actually quite pleasant. It shocked me. I was a bit on edge. Everyone was very welcoming. It was obviously great to be back and be with the boys. And it was a nice feeling, I must say. You've been at a club for a long time and you go back and everyone's sort of, don't know about excited, but happy to see you is a good feeling.
So you're back training now?
Yep. So started this week, back in. I think I got the release forms came through, so I am registered away from Japan now, back at Saracens, ongoing. So yeah, it's all go now, really.
That's very important, Goodie, because when the season, when you start playing and stuff, you don't want any scandals to come out or anything about not signing the proper papers or not being released from Japan, So make sure the Saris boys have everything in order, please, this time round.
It didn't take you long before you had to go down that route. Every week, I think, you just have to put the knife in about
it wasn't
salary
about
cap.
I was being genuine there. I was looking out for your well-being to make sure you're playing as often as you can.
You're a genuine liar. But no, I think I probably could have had the rest of this season off. But that would have meant about 9 or 10 weeks off in total, which is not good for a 33-year-old. So I think it would have ended up looking like a cheese wheel. So probably best that I get back into training pretty quick and crack on.
And what's the atmosphere like at Saracens at the moment? Obviously, they had quite a lot of call-ups last week to the Lions. A couple missing out that must be disappointed. But is it a good atmosphere?
Yeah, it's. I've only been in there a couple of days, but everyone seems in good spirits. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of happiness for everyone who got picked for the Lions. Obviously disappointed for a few guys, but everyone was just over the moon for the guys who got picked. And as a club, we've always been really happy for anyone who gets called up for international team or Lions. It's a big part of what we're about, and supporting each other and backing each other. And it was great to have so many players involved again, but obviously very disappointed for Billy particularly.
Yeah, what was the mood like with Billy, or did he say anything? Because obviously it would have been a big opportunity from the last one as well, obviously, and getting injured, etc. Coming up to that one wasn't great. So he's obviously fit now and hasn't been picked, so it's probably a big blow for him, obviously.
Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to speak to him about it. The announcement happened and most of the boys had gone home to sort of, I guess, be with families or keep an eye on it that way. And yeah, obviously the boys who were at the club were all really happy and sort of cheering and clapping every time as a player announced. But it was, pretty obvious once Mako got read out and Billy wasn't the next name or before him, that he wasn't in. And I think it was a huge disappointment. Billy's a huge character at the club. Everyone really enjoys him. Obviously being a bit biased, I think he's been an unbelievable player, in the top 1 or 2 number 8s in the world for a number of years. And I just think what he offers is something very different to anyone else. He's a phenomenal player and been exceptional for us. And every time we've played in Europe, particularly big games, and every time he steps out there for Sarries. So it was a surprise to me, that's for sure. But they've obviously got their reasons.
Well, let's bring in somebody who is on the plane to South Africa, 87 caps for England and heading out on his second Lions tour. Courtney Laws. Courtney, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Cheers. Pleasure to be here.
Congrats on the announcement last week. How much of a surprise was it to you when I think actually Chris Boyd told you, didn't he? Because we saw the footage of the team on the pitch and Chris was reading out the names.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. Obviously, haven't really played much this season, so I wasn't holding out a whole lot of hope, but I still had a bit of hope. I still knew there was a slight chance I could get on the plane, but no, I was obviously delighted to get the call.
Well, congrats, mate. Anyways,
Thank you.
Obviously unbelievable. But you went in 2017, and what were your memories of that tour? Because it's a pretty special thing, the Lions.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think I just really enjoyed the tour in general. I thought it was amazing crack. I liked all the boys were great. Haskin Seánie partnership was unbelievable, to be honest. And yeah, I just really enjoyed how much crack we had. How even though we were there for business, we really enjoyed ourselves, enjoyed each other's company, and yeah, just kind of ripped in for the vast majority of it. To be fair.
I used to call Courtney the mysterious man going around Lions camp, because you'd only see flashes of him going by a door or something. He wouldn't be around too often, but he was always up to something, either playing games or he was in his room on his laptop. So he was always very mysterious. So I actually should have asked to room with him. It would have been a bit of crack maybe for a session or two.
Maybe he didn't want to room with you.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's probably it. Although Hask was crying the day that we got split up, so I think that might have had something to do with it too. So he wanted me back.
He needed you, mate.
Yeah, I'm disappointed you haven't got any dirt on Sean from that trip. It sounds all positive that he was good value. And
I've got some dirt.
Oh,
it's not. I don't think it's the time or place. I don't know if he's got a missus now or anything. You know what I mean? So,
that's enough said. I think we get enough of that. Oh, look at
Well, you see, that's
Don't
the
be
thing,
telling
isn't it?
tales.
I'm not.
If there's no Hask and there's no Sean on this upcoming Lions tour, who's going to be the characters then? That's the question.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Finn Russell, I think is gonna have a bit of crack about him. He seems like he enjoys himself off the pitch. So yeah, it'll be good to really get to know him a bit better this tour. But yeah, it remains to be seen. Be interesting.
Yeah,
And,
I was actually thinking about that during the week as well. With the selection, who are going to be the leaders and that type of thing. Finn is obviously a standout because he's such a messer. And Tyke Furlong would be good crack.
Yeah.
When he gets the opportunity to get off the field, so it'll be interesting to see who kind of leads the charge in terms of that. There's a few boys, I suppose, that none of us really know that much about. In terms of like some of the Scottish boys, for instance, who wouldn't have hung out with them before. Or anything like that, so they could be leading the charge in terms of the social committee and bits and pieces and keeping boys entertained and telling a few fibs here and there.
It's all right, Sean, mate. I know you're sweating bullets now after what Courtney said, but you can relax, okay? We can move on past that.
I'm burned from earlier.
You're also sweating, pal. But no, I think someone like Jamie George as well. You know, he's likes to be on the social committee. He could be a good member. But I guess for something like that, you just want people who to come out of their skins a bit and to get to know everyone really. And the best way to do that is a few socials.
I feel we should probably ask Courtney a little bit about rugby since we've got him here. How are you getting on? How is the injury? Because you've not played since, what was it, February?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I should hopefully be back in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, good.
So yeah, that'd be great. I'll get maybe 2 or 3 games before the end of the season.
It was a nasty one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just completely random, like freak accident. But yeah, I did a good job of it, sure.
Also, Courtney, were you one of the 75 players that got the save the date for the Lions tour, or were you in that list initially?
As far as I know, I wasn't. I haven't had an email from anybody. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's so many players got sent an email. So I obviously, when the whole crack was going on with the email stuff, I was like, well, that either means I'm in the team and they don't need to send me a save the date, or I'm nowhere near it. Never gonna get, like, just not going on tour no matter who gets injured, no matter what happens. So that's just what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, are you H in Line of Duty? Are you the 37th man?
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, in one sense, it makes sense because I haven't played any rugby. I'm back 5 of the scrum. I can play both back row and second row, but then I would have thought that I'd have a save the date email if I was somewhere around the squad and not going. Do you know what I mean? So I obviously don't know.
I guess you're not too worried though. You're in the squad, and that's all that matters. And
yeah, exactly.
Save the date.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There you are.
Don't double book yourself.
No.
In terms of the way that this is all played out, you've been rehabbing, you're coming back after this, really nasty injury that's kept you out for so long. When you get told that you're going to be in the Lions after everything you've been through this year, what is that overriding emotion?
I was just really, I suppose, humble because I haven't been able to prove myself like a lot of the boys. It's basically just kind of credit I had in the bank. So that was quite humbling, and obviously I'm very thankful to be given the opportunity to go and prove why I have been picked to go on the tour. So yeah, it's just it's really motivated me, or pushed my motivation that bit further, just to know that I'm not only going to get 3 games at the end of the season. I'll have a few more after that, and a chance to go and do something big.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, Courtney, that there was no one questioned your selection in the squad, because I think from me even playing with you and playing against you over the years, you know exactly what you can bring to a game. So you're one of the people who, like, people never questioned, or maybe they're afraid to question it as well. Maybe they know they might get one of those suicidal chops or cut in half at some stage down the road. But no, it's brilliant, I suppose, to see you there again. I'm looking forward to seeing you either in the back row or second row, one or the other. But you're probably after taking my place, to be honest. I was in with a big shout, wasn't I, Goodie?
No, you weren't, mate. Let it go. You've been too much time sunbathing and not enough actually playing rugby, but still. And also, Sean, what do you know about those tackles, mate? He's been tackling me for 12 years, smashing me when just as I pass the ball, as I've got the ball, he's been smoking me. So, I know what they're like when Courtney hits you. It's horrific. But
I on the other hand, Goodie, I know how to evade him. So it's, you want to start looking up how to avoid him.
Oh yeah, you're known for your footwork, pal. Clearly, Christ. Jeez. Anyways, I was going to say you might have seen the Carl Sinclair interview and stuff the weekend, Courtney. Yeah. How did you obviously knowing Sink really well and play with him a lot? What was your sort of reaction to him not being picked?
It's tough, isn't it? Because I think there's so much competition in every position. And I can't imagine he missed out by much. Do you know what I mean? And I think that the likelihood is he'll end up on tour anyway, just because of the nature of the game. And I know it's rubbish for him to not be picked off the bat, because you're not now guaranteed to go on tour. And I understand why he's obviously very, very emotional about it. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and knowing the bloke, completely understand why he feels that way. And why he's so hurt by it, because rugby really is everything to him at the minute. Like, things change a bit when you have some kids and you get a bit older, and you've got a slightly bigger picture of things. But when the position he's in at the minute, where rugby is everything and it means everything to him, I completely understand why he feels how he does.
What was nice about that interview, and I spent a lot of time interviewing not just rugby players but other sportsmen as well, is the honesty that he showed. And that kind of brings us on to a bit of a chat with you, Courtney, because you've sort of demonstrated that recently as well, that for people out there who think that sportsmen are just machines and they hide behind this big PR, sort of board, and they don't have it in them to say how they feel. We've actually had a shift away from that, I think, really in the last 12 months. And the Kyle interview was the perfect example of that. But also, you've been pretty honest in what you've been putting out there of late as well. Do you think you find a voice when things matter to you? Do you think you find a voice as you get a little bit older?
Yeah, definitely. It's, I don't know. I guess the more you learn, the more certain you are within yourself and why you feel and think how you do, and then you become more confident and more willing to express that to other people, I guess. So yeah, as I've grown up, I've certainly become less worried about what people want to say about you. And if people ask you questions, I'll answer you honestly.
And you're working with the Centre for Social Justice, and I know that that's something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the things they do are really brilliant. They push a lot of things through to government that really can help people, and I'm just basically doing it, what I can to help them and what they're doing. And obviously, my experience and my upbringing, some people can learn things from it, and that's why I'm more than willing to pitch in and give my point of view.
People nowadays, like, they don't actually, just what you've said there, Courtney, about when you get more comfortable and as you grow a little bit older, you don't really care what people think as much. And when you express your opinion, it's nearly the opposite effect. You're half the time when you're a younger guy, you're worrying about what people think. And then when you're older and you actually say what you think, the support you have and the people around you, things that are important to you, that's actually all that matters at the end of the day. And all these, like Sinks saying what he said today, like every rugby player in the world will think like that if they're not picked for something that's big to them or that means something to them. Everyone, and he's probably the first one who's come out on camera in the last year or so and expressed himself, actually, because that's one of the things that bugs me about like online abuse and stuff. We're human beings at the end of the day. Like, yes, we play rugby, but we're humans. We're all exactly like each other, and we have feelings, and that stuff gets to people. But I think as you get more confident, as you've just said, and you get a bit older and more experienced, and you know exactly what you're about, then you can hone in on it and drive it home to people and make people understand it a lot more. And I think that's what you're doing now. Marcus Rashford as well. That whole campaign that he's at. It'd be interesting to hear your views on that as well, because it's important that these things are actually being said now and people are okay with them. Yeah,
certainly. No, I think what he's doing is brilliant, and certainly in a time like this, we need that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think he's doing incredible work. Obviously, I commented on it. Got a lot of backlash because I like to push, I guess, a more conservative view in a lot of people's eyes in terms of marriage and things like that, because of what impact it's had on my life. Not just because I'm married and got 4 kids and I know how good that's going to be for them to have a stable family to grow up in, but also the fact that I came from that and my half brother didn't, and just the difference between our lives and things like that. Really, it's just so clear to me. So I push, I guess, a different message, but one that I think can also help people.
Yeah, but I need to be clear on that. You weren't, negative towards Marcus Rashford's campaign and what he was doing. And obviously everyone jumps on Twitter and starts coming at you and trolling you when all you were doing was saying it's great, but there's also other things that we can work on as well. And that's just social media. People just jump on that bandwagon and start coming at people. And, it's horrendous, really, that people can do that. But, it's the society we live in at the moment, and that doesn't seem to be changing enough.
No, certainly. I mean, it is what it is. I didn't put good enough context on it, so that's on me, and I got backlash for it. So that's also fine. Again, people are gonna say what they want, and it's up to me if I take it on board or not. Do you know what I mean? So it goes over my head. So I didn't apologise for what I said. I found some people that wanted to work with me, and I carried on pushing what I wanted to say. So. And that's all I could do. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'll continue to do.
Yeah, it's a constant tightrope of would you rather be liked or respected, isn't it? And it's such a fine line for everyone to have to walk. And I'm not sure if social media is ever the right place to do anything. But let's talk about another company that you're an ambassador for, Hycelin. Tell us about them and what you're doing.
Obviously, they're a hygiene company. They've done really great, obviously, with the pandemic going on and stuff. But what I'm working with them mainly on is their kind of charity and community work. They do loads of stuff with, kids in sports, women's sports, all that kind of stuff, keeping people active in that. And I'm just basically going to help out, go to events. They're also going to start opening hygiene banks and things for people that might struggle to afford some of the hygiene bits to keep your house, free of this pandemic, basically. And I think all that's brilliant, and especially when it comes from charity, people donating and them donating. I think that's a really good thing that we can do in our society.
Yeah, let's talk about the pandemic and how it's affecting rugby, because we know the different bubbles that went on during Six Nations. Some players found it harder than others. We know that that's going to be the same when you head out to South Africa as well. And it will be a struggle. And I don't use that word lightly, because, people in real life, as it were, are having big struggles as well. And they might not think that rugby players struggle, even though you're going to South Africa and you're playing matches. But there are challenges that go with that, aren't there?
Yeah, of course there are, and I think it showed kind of in the Six Nations, especially with our team. A lot of our boys struggled to adapt, and we probably struggled to adapt as a team. And a lot of our boys really did struggle with just the whole environment and not being able to socialise, be around the boys all the time, and enjoy that side of it. So we're going to have to find a way to work around that. And still stay safe, because it's very important that we bond as a team going into this tour.
But also, you've said you've got 4 kids. It's difficult for people being away from family. We saw Ben Youngs ruling himself out because his wife is pregnant and he didn't want to be away from family for obvious reasons for that. And that will be another angle that you've never really had to consider too much before, because maybe in the past they've been able to come out, or you could see them at different times.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be too different for me, because my during the World Cup, my missus wasn't able to come out. We've just got so many kids, you know what I mean, that it'd be an absolute nightmare trying to come out of that. But she did come out for the final, but she didn't bring the kids. So luckily we've had a bit of practice at it, and the twins were a lot younger then, and it was a lot harder. And I guess I'm just really, really lucky that I've got such a supportive wife. She's just on it. She's like, go. We only, in the grand scheme of things, 8 weeks, 9 weeks is quite a small amount of time. And although I hate being away from the kids, I won't ever get this opportunity again. So it's important for me, and I'm very lucky to have a wife that can say, just go and take it and enjoy yourself.
It's easy for you sitting in the hotel room, Courtney, with your feet up playing computer games for 8 weeks.
I know. I'm gonna do something. I'll get something planned. I'll send her away on holiday or something when she gets back. When I get back, either. I'll definitely make it up. But yeah,
keep her sweet.
Yeah, 100%.
You mentioned the World Cup final there. How long? I know that a lot of different England players have said, they're either not over it, they'll never get over it, that they got over it quite quickly. Where do you lie on that sort of like chart?
I guess I got over it quite quickly. I'm not the kind of person that kind of dwells on things. I think, and I know from a personal point of view that I gave it everything I had throughout the entire tournament, and as far as I'm concerned, that's all I can do. It's obviously really disappointing that we came up short, but man, we went for it. Do you know what I mean? And we had such a young team. We had such a hard path to the final. And I think we did everything we could to win that tournament, and unfortunately we came up short. But that is part of the game.
And playing obviously South Africa in the final there and going against them in the Lions, is there added motivation for you there because of what happened in the World Cup final, or as you said, it's behind you now, so not that bothered?
I don't need any extra motivation. I don't feel like I really ever need any extra motivation. But I want to win every game I play in, and that's just all there is to it. And there'll be nothing different against South Africa. And I don't feel like I need any extra motivation to get out there and put my body on the line for it. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm happy to go.
But obviously, against, I was going to say, playing South Africa, it's the biggest sort of physical test you're going to get. And you being such a physical player, it must be sort of exciting for you to test yourself in that sense, and something you relish, really, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. They certainly play a type of game that I like to play against, and I can't wait to get involved and get into that contest and see where I'm at. See how far I've come in this long old career of mine.
I reckon the first test there's going to be a massive choking match in the first couple of minutes. So I'd rather you be involved in that, please and thank you. I genuinely think like Etzebeth and these boys and Vermeulen, whoever's going to be there, I think in the first couple of minutes of the first test, I can't wait to watch it. There's a few things I'm going to be disappointed I'm missing out on. One is the piss up when you arrive to South Africa and a couple of days you'll have together, and two is the start of the first test match.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, eh?
Sean, that's what I was just about to say. Tasty. In terms of the names who you're marking down, who are the ones that the players that you sort of relish the chance to go head to head with in a South Africa side?
No, I think the likes of those. Was that question to me, Lee? Yeah.
You can all pile in.
Oh yeah, I just think like they're enforcers, as they call them, that they have. They're the fellas who you want to get stuck into early on, especially in their own backyard. And that's why I'm saying I think the first test will be Route 1 from South Africa with their forward pack, and they're just going to try and dominate like they've done for years. So, I know they've played a different and a little bit more expansive game in the World Cup, etc. But still, when it comes to a Lions tour, we've seen it. History steeped in it. They will just come Route 1 and seeking to beat the living daylights out of boys first and foremost. So they're the boys, Etzebeth, Vermeulen, all these boys. They're the boys you want to get stuck into early on, and stop on the gain line and get your tail up a little bit. So that's the exciting part. Seeing some of these boys going out there and absolutely being as physical as possible in that first test game.
You're going to be spoiling for a fight in your own living room by the sounds of this, Sean. It's like you're so excited. I am. I'm genuinely excited now for the boys to get over there and get going, because it's so special. And I've actually never played in South Africa. Would you believe that? Never played there against the Springboks. Played in Dublin against them, but never over there. And from what the boys tell me, it's very cool, obviously. But we don't know whether fans are going to be in or out yet. But regardless. That's what I'll definitely miss anyway. Courtney, who are you looking forward to taking on?
I don't know. To be fair, I think as a forward pack, that's just what they pride themselves on, isn't it? They want to dominate you physically. from 1 to 8, they're going to be running at you hard, and we got it. We had it in the final, and we'll get it again. Like Seánie says, first test. So regardless, if I get the opportunity, whoever's running at me, it's body on the line time, and we'll see who comes off best, won't we?
Before we let you go, what do the next few weeks look like for you then? You're coming out of your rehab and you're going to be playing, hopefully, fingers crossed?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to hit the ground running. I mean, I got injured in November, had an operation on my ankle, came back, managed to get into some decent form, considering I played 4 games, you know what I mean? Was looking forward to getting into Wales and getting some real game time under my belt, and then got injured again. So for me, just get my rehab right, make sure that my body's good to go when it comes time to play, and then just try and hit the ground running. A bit older now, a bit more experienced, so I kind of know what I need to do to get myself in the right place to hopefully play well, and then do everything I can to go on tour in good form and do everything I can to get in them test teams.
Listen, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you about, so many different topics, but thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Another name read out last week by Jason Leonard, which means he is also on the plane to South Africa, is Hamish Watson. Hamish, great to see you. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to chat. Last week's been pretty mental, so it's been an awesome week.
Congrats, mate.
Congratulations.
You
must be over the moon about it. Playing for the Lions must be a dream.
Yeah, it's weird because it's still quite a long way to go till we get sort of into it and get out to the first camp. I think we meet up on the 13th of June. So it's just trying to stay fit, stay healthy, or in my case, get fit and get healthy, and then so really looking forward to it, and then hopefully get on a tour, which will be awesome.
It was never in doubt though, Hamish, was it? After Six Nations Player of the Championship, you were a shoe-in.
I don't know. I don't know. You're never sure, are you? And there's so many good back rowers, the class of back rowers in all the home nations. It's so good. So you never know. I was saying the other day there's definitely another 6 players that you could have easily taken on the tour and no one would have argued. So it was. I think it was always going to be tough, and getting left last, I was definitely halfway through thinking, oh no. But,
yeah, that's the thing. When your surname begins with a W, you were actually the last one to get read out.
Yeah, and you're trying to work out how many back rowers they've taken or how many they're going to take, and then you see a load of second rowers who can play 6 going, and you're like, oh no, this is not going well here. But luckily for me, it ended up all right.
And where were you when the announcement came through?
I was just at home with the family. So my wife and my 2 girls, but they're obviously young, so they were running around fighting over a bag crisp and stuff. So they didn't really know what was going on. But so I was just at home with my wife, and we got the option whether we wanted to watch it with the boys or not. But Cocker sort of said, what would you like to do? And I think the guys who were sort of in contention, he asked those boys, and I just thought that whichever way it swung, I'd rather digest it myself a bit before going to see the boys. So that's just what I did.
And were you nervous? Because a lot of people would say, yeah, definitely on the plane. But did you have doubts?
I think you always have a bit of doubt because, like I said, there's a lot of good players in the back row, and you never know with these things. And I was really nervous. The build-up, as everyone's sort of gone on about, it did take a while, that whole build-up and talking to the coach and talking to the captain and stuff like that.
We've given her enough abuse about that, Hamish, to be honest.
No, it was very good. But
it wasn't very good. Stop telling lies.
But
don't be nice to her. It was going on and on.
For a player waiting for the announcement, it was quite nerve-wracking. So I think
it was a bit
even for a player not waiting for an announcement, it was going on and on.
Yeah. They should have announced the squad and then had interviews afterwards. Job done. Yeah.
But so I was getting a bit nervous to answer the question. Yeah.
And another 7 Scots joining you out there as well.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's really good. We haven't had many people on the last few tours, and it's the most Scots for a long time. So I think that's great. It's good for the players as well to have a lot, a few familiar faces out there. They know sort of how you work and how you train and what you like to play with. So I think that's really good. And having Tandy and Gregor there as well, I think that's good for the Scottish boys as well.
Don't say that to Sean O'Brien. He is putting down the sheer number of Scottish boys going on this tour purely down to Gregor and Steve Tandy being on there.
Hold on a minute now.
Yeah, you
Who
said
did
if Andy Farrell was there, there'd be 20
on a
Irishmen.
second. Who did I put down? Lee McKenzie.
Well, you said if it was a 50-50 and there were Scottish coaches, they
would
be able
obviously
to
pick
sway.
the players.
Yeah.
They would obviously pick the players who they know what they're going to deliver, and fit the systems that they're going to have. There's only one.
Yes.
There's only one Scot I questioned, and that was Van der Merwe, just because of the exclusion of Johnny May. But the rest of them are there because they're good enough to be there.
Well, you were going on about Gary Ringrose, James Ryan, just to name a couple.
Yeah.
So,
Because we were giving our opinions. And
so you're saying that Chris Harris should be there? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that Gary Ringrose should be there somewhere, in my opinion, or Slade as
Let's not go through this again.
generating a bit of something now and nothing. So it's but that's just my opinion. Not everyone has to agree, lads and ladies.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you.
back to Hamish, because he's the man in the spotlight at the minute.
I don't want to get involved in selection of who should be there.
No, we're not
we
going to
wouldn't
do
put you
that
in
to
that.
you.
No,
Do
we
not
wouldn't do
worry. So we've heard Sean's opinion. Actually, it's probably a good time to say that do you and Alex know each other because you went to the same school as each other, albeit a few years apart?
I've tried to contact him a few times, but he never picks up the phone. So
That's absolute rubbish.
That'd be him, all right, Hamish.
not having it.
He's a bit snobby that way.
no, I think he was in seventh form, or his last year when I was in my first year. So
I'm
he's a few
bloody
years
old,
older
is
than-
what he's saying.
Yeah, but I think last time we spoke was when I was sharing a room with Scott Shaw Maitland, and we sort of FaceTimed and said hi. But I don't, we don't
No.
keep in close contact anyway.
No, I heard. So our old coach Ian Smith, he was a coach at Leicester, Dosser. He used to tell me about this kid, and as I was like 26, so he's this great player, Hamish Watson, and he was quite annoyed that Leicester weren't giving him the time of day and stuff. And he used to go on about Hamish, about how he was better than Lewis Moody, he was going to be more successful. And I was sort of waiting to see him pop up, and then bang, he popped up for Scotland and got about 3 man of the matches in a row and hasn't looked back since. So I should never have doubted my old coach. Really, he knows a thing or two about sevens, and look at him
Hamish,
now flying.
Would you ever think of going back to the Premiership?
I mean, I never played. I played a bit of A-League stuff, so I think it'd be something I'd quite like to do. But I guess I've just signed a 3-year with Edinburgh now, so I'm running out of years. So I've just done 3 years. So
Last week, I
that'll
presume.
take me to 25 after those 3 years, and then we'll have to see. We'll see what happens. But no, I would like to do it. It's a great competition, and like everyone talks about, every game's a big game, and it's something that I would like to do. But we'll have to see.
Hamish, talk to us about your year, because it was a great Six Nations for you. You were voted Six Nations Player of the Tournament. I'm not sure if you get anything for that, or is it just a Zoom call from Hoggy, or you get some sort of like bigger prize than that?
We got a cool trophy as well.
Did you? All right.
Big bronze trophy.
Lovely.
But it has been a fantastic year for you. I think people in Scotland have certainly known what you can do for several years, but it seems that this year you really hit the high notes, and it was perfect timing as well for the Lions and everything to come.
Yeah, I mean, I always obviously try and put in good performances, but I guess the timing of getting player competition and stuff was fairly decent with the Lions stuff, and I think the whole team put in some really great performances this season, especially with the away win against England. Really set the tone for sort of our campaign, and unfortunately we couldn't back it up against Wales, which was disappointing. But I think that first game sort of laid down a bit of a marker. England were on good form in the autumns, and have been a team to sort of beat with France over the last few years, and we sort of went there and put in a really good performance. I think it was a good campaign for all the Scots, and we knew that if we wanted to get as many people on the plane as possible, we sort of have to put our hands up in those big away games, and I think a lot of the boys did that, which was great.
And obviously playing South Africa is such a physical test over there. It must be something that, with your ball carrying, I think you had more defenders beaten than anyone in the Six Nations. You're sort of relishing to sort of take them on.
Yeah, it'll be an awesome challenge for everyone. I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, they're a big physical team, and well, the last time they played, they won the World Cup, and they are ranked number 1 in the world. So I think it's going to be a great challenge for everyone. And yeah, like you say, I enjoy carrying the ball and stuff. So they're a big team, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We played them in 2018, and it was a really close game at Murrayfield. So I'm looking forward to playing them again because I've only played them once, so it'll be good.
And when you're carrying, are you doing it like I am, where you're just running in fear that someone's going to take your head off and just trying to dodge, duck, dive, or are you running like Sean, just like a tractor, just trying to plough into everything? You're trying to physically dominate them in that sense.
I don't really think too much about it. I just try and run hard. Sometimes I'll get smashed, and then sometimes I won't. So it's I just run. And then I probably should sometimes use a bit more footwork, but no, I think it's one of those things, isn't it? You either like doing it or you don't, I guess.
It's like I find sometimes Hamish and I look at you carrying the ball. I like think of the Flintstones. When they run with their feet underneath the cars really fast. So I think when you get hit by people, your feet are still going 100 miles an hour, and then you're off to the next one.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Oh, no, definitely take it as a compliment. It was the only thing I could really compare to. Another question for you: Are you relishing the challenge? Because this is probably something you'll experience out there, that the competition for places, obviously within the squad, then when you get out there, and to try and get to that test starter is obviously a massive challenge too. And yourself and Curry are the two very, very close sevens at the minute. So are you relishing that challenge as well? To obviously you get on well with each other, but I remember there was lads taking heads off each other on the last 2 tours during the week. Some footage was shown of little bits of like scragging matches and stuff, but it got hot and heavy at times. So that's going to be a challenge as well for everyone out there, and I'm sure you're looking forward to it. But I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on that, trying to cement your place in the test side.
Yeah, I think we were sort of talking the other day, Suz and Dewey, and trying to, as you do, work out what it will sort of be like, because it'll be very different to club stuff, the sort of intensity of it all. I imagine, like you've just said there, that it does get pretty heated because you've got 37 players all going for that test spot, especially, I imagine, the first few weeks, definitely the camp that we're going to. And then when you first get out there before the test squad's announced, I imagine it's going to be, they're going to be pretty tough training sessions with everyone sort of gunning for those test spots. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be good fun. And like you say, the back row is pretty hotly contested, and you can go with all sorts of combinations there. So I think it's just going to obviously depend what the coaches want and what they think's best. Because like you say, there's a few second rows who can play 6. There's 6s, there's 8s who can play all across the back row as well. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Like you said, I think it's going to be test match. We call it test match Tuesdays at Edinburgh, but I think it's going to be test match every day, isn't it, in training? So that'll be interesting.
Well, you've had cockers for a while, so you'll be used to that stuff. So it's,
I think that's
not a problem,
we've got
is
the
it?
upper hand. Exactly. I think we've got the upper hand in that. We're used to it with cockers.
Yeah, but I guess as well, is there anyone or any sort of players that you're quite intrigued to meet or play with, particularly in this tour?
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool to work with the back row, obviously, to see what they do that you may not do, or stuff that you do that they don't do, and to try and combine all together is going to be interesting. Because it's nice when you go into Scotland camps and stuff like that, and people all have different ideas of what work-ons they like doing, or what sounds a bit noisy, what tackle or rucking drills they like doing that you don't do. And I imagine that's still stuff that we're going to be doing. In the backs, I was saying the other day, it's just going to be interesting to meet people who you have these perceptions over. Do you know what I mean? And they're normally wrong, the perceptions, but you have these things that you think of people after a game because, I don't know, maybe they push your head in the ground or say stupid stuff to you on the deck, and you're just like, all right, he's an arse or something. But then actually, when you meet them, they're actually really nice guys. So it's going to be interesting stuff like that as well, and just to play with. I suppose once you get called to Lions, these are meant to be the best players in the home nation. So it's going to be great to play with so many top quality players that you never get the chance to do that ever again. And these sort of players, I've never played in the Premiership or never played anywhere else professionally apart from Edinburgh. So to play with the top talent that's there, it's going to be really cool and a lot of fun.
And talking about people saying things that piss you off, I imagine one of the most annoying phrases that you must hear quite a lot is "not the biggest back row."
Yeah, I mean, I've covered it. I've had quite a few questions on this week. I mean, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. So I mean, it's something I've had to deal with most of my career, but I'm not actually that small, but it's funny. Once people get a perception in their head, it's there. So it's just not even worth, it's one of those things.
That's
isn't
what
it?
I used to say, Hamish, to people. They used to ask me what height I was. I used to add an inch just to stop the conversation.
I think my profile on Wiki and stuff's got a few inches on it, so I'm probably even shorter than they think I am.
Hamish, before we let you go, I just want to talk to you about something that you've been doing on social media, which can be either seen as fantastic if you're a fan of the mullet, or quite traumatizing if you're not. You and your brother have obviously got Rex Club. You have basically been rewarding people for mullets with a cap with a mullet on it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was one of those things we sort of made this mullet cap. We didn't want to make it like with a face on it or anything, so we just sort of did the head tape with a mullet out the back, and they were actually doing quite well. But we just decided, why not one weekend we'll just say, all right, if you shave in a mullet, or if you've got a mullet, then we'll send you out a free cap sort of thing. And before I was doing it, I was like saying to Gus, my brother, and I was like, some parents could really kick off here if they got to their room and use their dad's shave and just start shaving in a mullet. But we went with it, and now we got some awesome footage from people shaving in mullets and sending them pictures of their like freshly cut mullets and stuff. But it was just a bit of fun, and it's actually done quite well for Rexco, which is always quite nice as well.
So the mullet's here to stay. The mullet will be the South African style feature.
Yeah, it's going to stay in, and I think it'll be time. I've promised my wife now that it's time to go after that, I think. So I think if I cut it off before, I think I'd have a few fans who only like me because of my mullet, that they would be really upset. So I thought I have to keep it for the Lions, and I think it'll be time, because I've kept it since I got it cut off for my wedding, and I've kept it for 2 years now without having the back cut. So I think, it's Marmite, isn't it? I think some people love it, some people hate it. So.
Well, Sean loves a freebie, so I'm sure he'll grow a mullet now, knowing he gets a cap out of it. So.
Yeah, throw me on a cap, Hamish. I definitely grow a mullet.
Hamish, thanks so much. Great to have you on the programme, and good luck with everything that's to come.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Enjoy the tour, Hamish.
Best of luck, mate. Go well.
Cheers, guys. See you.
Yeah, great to have Hamish and Courtney on the programme, two guys who are heading off to South Africa. Shame you didn't ever pick up the phone to Hamish though, Alex.
Yeah, I think that's a bit harsh. He's never called me. He hasn't even got my number. But I had a question for you, Sean. Obviously, on the Lions tours you've been on, especially that sort of first tour, what's it like on that first day when you meet up together? Does everyone sort of stay in their countries, or do people mix straight away? How do you instantly get that bond? Because obviously 2013 it seemed like a great crack off the field and a pretty close group.
Yeah, it's something that you have to, I suppose you have to embrace everyone and get amongst them straight away. And I suppose there's certain perceptions you'll have of different people, and you just have to go and figure them out. Because I think, you land into the middle of into the middle of the English boys, for instance, and they've never really met you before. And they're wondering, first of all, they don't understand you because you're Irish. Secondly, they're thinking, this fella, they might have heard a couple of stories about you and they think you're half mad. So you have to let them know that you're fully mad and that you're actually quite a normal person. But yeah, you just get amongst it. You have to put yourself out there a little bit and get out of your comfort zone and get away from your Irish teammates, and embrace everyone and get to know each other very, very quickly. And that's the great thing about those two tours. We had 2 days basically on the piss with each other, wherever we landed in first. And there's no better way to get to know someone. And while you have the crack and it's fun and stuff, conversations start to get going. You start to tell people, Jesus, I had a different perception of you. I thought you were a bit of a wanker or something. and then it all kind of everyone opens up to each other, and you're best friends by the end of the night. And no one's going to come near you then. You have that bond straight away, and you have each other's back. And that's what the great thing about those tours is that, within 24 or 48 hours, everyone knows everything about each other, and you just rock on, really enjoy each other's company. So it's quite unique that way. And that's what being a Lion is about. And you know, Jesus, some of the crack we had at the start of those tours and then throughout the tours have been like, they're brilliant. When you meet people, I suppose even last year, meeting some of the lads and seeing them at different games, you just smile at each other. You don't have to go into story time. You just have a smile on your face and they know exactly what you're thinking. So it's very special that way. But you definitely have to just embrace everyone and you know, put yourself in the deep end.
And what I love about that is that you go from this great night out, being best friends with each other, and then the next day in the training paddock, you're fighting for that position, and you're trying to scrap everyone, probably knowing you, trying to throw punches left, right, and centre.
No, there was definitely no punches being thrown on my behalf anyway. But it is funny because I think the players that are picked on those tours are at a certain level. They're able to flick the switch of when, right, now it's time to relax, let's have the crack, enjoy each other's company. But it's work in the morning or it's work the next day. And the minute you get out on the training field, it's like, I think the best players are able to do that. They're able to flick a switch and they are on it straight away from the start of the session. And that's where that training standard of the Lions goes so high. The people around you are so good, and it brings you to another level, really. So it's class the way it's able to work like that.
Gents, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure listening to your stories. Alex, welcome back to the UK. Good to have you back with us. You two will be heading out for a beer, no doubt, soon, since the pubs are open and the sun is shining. Well,
I've asked him out for one already, and he said only if I'm paying. So he's not home a wet week.
Have you not listened to the programme for the last 20-odd weeks? He's not paying.
Classic Sean, just add a bit of spice to that. He asked me the second day I was home, and I said no, and he got all arsey with me. I said I was still in isolation or quarantine, whatever you want to call it, and he wasn't having any of it. But I said I'd meet him next week somewhere. But obviously it'll have to be indoors soon because, Sean, you can't be in the sun anymore with that face. Like, blimey.
Very good.
Get some Factor 50. Yeah.
Very good.
On that note, thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll see you all next week.
You've been watching The House of Rugby Season 3 on Joe.